welcome to a brand new edition of the HBCU Sports Live podcast. Well, it's not live, it's actually being recorded, but we are going to be bringing you guys more updated podcasts as we get ourselves ready for the 2024-25 athletic and academic year. If you guys can't see the name on the screen, I'm Chris Stevens. I've been a contributing writer of HBCU Sports for the last 16 months or so. Yeah, it's been a while since I came on board. Glad to be here. Glad to talk Black college sports with you guys, which is, of course, today's aim. And not going to waste too much of your time because, of course, it is the holiday weekend. I know you guys have cookouts and leftover food that you want to put away, either in the fridge or through the stomach. So not going to waste too much of your time. Wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things of importance. I wanted to start with Urban Edge Network, making a lot of power moves during this spring and summer season. We reported late Tuesday night that they had signed a deal with a leading sports stats firm and AI service called Stats Perform. They'll be doing all sorts of things together to help enhance visibility for Black college athletes and Black college athletic programs, which includes, something that's probably going to be along the lines of if you're an ESPN fan, you remember Sports Science. Sports Science was probably one of the best things that ESPN ever did, and for some stupid reason, they took it away. Whatever. But seems like that's going to be something that Urban Edge is going to be doing with Stats Perform. Of course, Urban Edge is the proud owners of HBCU Plus, which is a great way to catch your favorite athletic Black college football and sports teams without having to worry about an ESPN Plus subscription. So what Urban Edge is doing, also, let's not forget, in May, Urban Edge signed a distribution broadcast deal with Paramount Broadcast Corporation of South Florida, which means more than 1 million homes in the Miami, Fort Pierce, Fort Lauderdale area are going to be able to see Black college football this fall. That's pretty awesome because when you think about it, there's one HBCU in South Florida. Of course, that's Florida Memorial. But this gives kids an opportunity to see like a Fort Valley State or a Tuskegee or a Lane or a Kentucky State or a Claflin, Winston-Salem, on and on and on it goes. So Urban Edge Network is actually doing what we've begged for people to do for a long time, and that is give people an alternative to a major network corporation. And this is important because what people are forgetting about, a lot of the folks that are leaving the Colonial Athletic Association, is the Colonial Athletic Association does not have a distribution deal with ESPN. I mean, people were shocked that Richmond was leaving, and Richmond was one of the big dogs, one of the grandfathers of the Coastal. But the conference that they're joining up with, the Patriot League, has an ESPN distribution deal. The Coastal has a Flow Sports for now because the contract expires in I want to say either 2026 or 2027, and there's been no word on negotiations of an extension up to this point. So I imagine it's either already done or it's going to be starting or it's not happening. So that's why we found it interesting that, Hampton and A&T are going to stay on board there. I mean, yeah, maybe that'll give Hampton and A&T more of a chance to compete in that conference, but I think what Urban Edge is doing, it's paving the way. I mean, we have HBCU Go as well. Let's not forget. I mean, you can catch any multitude of games on HBCU Go or HBCU Plus. So if you have a Roku TV or a Roku device like the Fire Stick, I had to remember because I sold my Fire Stick once I got a Roku TV. But yeah, if you have any of those attachments or apps, you can catch HBCU Go or HBCU Plus on your television or your phone or your laptop or your tablet. And that's incredible. That's something that we've needed for a long time, because I don't know if you guys remember a show at BET aired. It hasn't been 10 years, but it's probably been at least 5, 6, or 7 years, called The Quad. It was starring Anika Noni Rose. She was the president of a fictional HBCU. I think it was called Georgia A&M. And one of the things that was just like a side story was that they were trying to get a streaming service going for Georgia A&M athletics. And this was years ago. So there's been a little bit of foreshadowing that people have been trying to get HBCUs to get on board with streaming, with respect to streaming, for a very long time. And for Urban Edge to kind of take the initiative and say, okay, this is what we can do for the people. And to get a broadcast distribution deal in South Florida. I mean, because South Florida is a heavily Black population. And it's Black Americans, our Haitian brothers, our Jamaican brothers and sisters, Dominica, Puerto Rico, because there are Black Puerto Ricans. Yes, there are. So you have so many ways that you can reach the diaspora through Black college sports. And that helps the schools because these kids can see, oh, wow, I can go somewhere outside of South Florida if I want to. And these places look cool. I mean, look at Tuskegee Shed. I mean, look at, Benedict Stadium, all of that. I mean, they see Clark Atlanta Morehouse and be like, wow, there's like Black colleges right in the middle of Atlanta, which is, of course, now the Black Mecca. So I say all this to say, we're just waiting for the conferences to figure it out that ESPN is not the end all and be all. And yes, this includes the SWAC because the SWAC apparently sued Urban Edge a while back, but that suit was thrown out. So it really didn't get very far. And of course, the MEAC and the SWAC are kind of bound together because of the Celebration Bowl. And as long as that Celebration Bowl is bringing in multi-million dollars to each conference, it's not going away. I mean, that partnership is probably going to last as long as the Celebration Bowl lasts. Then after that, who knows? But the Celebration Bowl seems like something that is still going to be a thing because even though Stu Gatz from the Dan Le Batard show was crying about, Army Navy not having the first Saturday or a Saturday to themselves anymore because of the FBS playoff structure, it's still, the Celebration Bowl still matters. I mean, it's still going to be a great game. I mean, we saw the best Celebration Bowl of all time last year with Howard and Florida A&M. And I say it's the best Celebration Bowl of all time because hear me out. These are two of the blue bloods of Black college sports. I mean, FAMU, yeah, we brag different. Howard, HU, like it literally was an easy way to make money. Just the easiest way to make money possible. Sorry for the alarm in the background. I mean, I live in an area where there's just always something going on. But if you can hear it, cool. If not, I apologize. But if you can't, that's even better. But yes, back to what I was saying. The Celebration Bowl, I mean, we had the best Celebration Bowl of all time because you had Howard, who hadn't won a MEAC championship outright since 1993. You had Florida A&M, who was winning their first SWAC championship, and this was expected of Florida A&M in the entire season. And these are just like two of the blue bloods of the Black college world, and they met in the Black Mecca where they have a strong alumni base on both sides. And the game was, and it helped that the game was good. Florida A&M pulled it out. So the Celebration Bowl, I mean, it's going to stick around a while, but I still want our conferences to have other options. I want them to be able to say, okay, well, if ESPN3 wants to air UTEP versus Incarnate Word women's basketball, then we can go over to HBCU Go and have this Jackson State, Alabama A&M women's game be our lead story. If the MEAC is tired of the University of Delaware and infringing on Delaware State stuff, then DSU could go to Urban Edge and say, okay, all right, guys, we got defending champion Howard coming in here. We played them in the MEAC championship game last year. We should have won that game. They're coming into a alumni Memorial Hall. I went to Delaware State and I confused the names. I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. But we got Howard coming into Memorial Hall. Would you like to broadcast the game? And I doubt very seriously that Urban Edge or HBCU Go would turn down that opportunity. So we have options. That's the bottom line in all of this. Black college sports has options because we are hot right now. Black colleges are hot right now. Everything that we've met, like in the past 4 years, I mean, you can blame it on COVID. You can blame it on, not blame it. I mean, you can attribute it to COVID. You can attribute it to Black Lives Matter. You can attribute it to wokeness or whatever. But black colleges have a very high profile right now. And it's very important that we take advantage of this high profile. And I'm not saying you're not going to get seen on ESPN. I mean, because of course, ESPN, the ESPN family of networks. Yes, you can be seen on there, but ESPN is still going to do what they want to do. And they always want to put like the Coastal ahead or the A10 or the Big East or even the Northeast, or even the Patriot League, or the Big South, or the SoCon, and Conference USA, and all of that good stuff. So instead of just being ESPN's second choice, make your own first option. And that's what Black college conferences could do with Urban Edge and HBCU Plus and HBCU Go. And yes, there's still always the option of creating your own streaming service. And there are mass communication programs at HBCUs around the country who would love the opportunity. I can tell you now, because Delaware State MassCon, we're underrated because we have people that are working at MTV Paramount. We have people who are working in journalism. Not to brag, but I'm one of those people. And so many others in our MassCon program that are in public relations. And we made chicken salad out of chicken, you know what, for the longest time. Imagine if we had the opportunity to broadcast Delaware State basketball games when we were winning MEAC championships, when the football team was coming out of the doldrums of going 1-10 in 2003 to being a game away from the MEAC championship in 2006. The opportunities, we have to make them. We can't wait for somebody to give them to us. We got to make them ourselves. And that's what HBCUs have always done. So while the ESPN partnership is cool for the MEAC, SWAC, and the CIAA, I would like to see us have other options. I would. Because what happens if, because we saw that ESPN in a macro sense just cut down on what people have termed wokeness. I mean, you saw him get rid of Jamel Hill and Michael Smith and all of these other folks. I mean, you saw him bring in people like Pat McAfee and the Barstool idiots, and let Stephen A. Smith lean into his sort of conservatism. I mean, what's it going to stop in ESPN higher exec to say, why are we still covering Black college sports? I mean, who cares about Florida A&M versus Howard? Who cares about Grambling versus Tennessee State or something like that? We don't know what's going to stop these folks in the higher positions to say, okay, we don't need Black college sports anymore. Get rid of them. And then we be SOL. So it's important to have options, and HBCUs have options, and they have homegrown options. That's the thing. The options are homegrown. I mean, HBCU Plus. I mean, it's easy to navigate. HBCU Go. If you have, like I said, if you have Roku, you could just surf through, and HBCU Go will pull up. And of course, on the Griot channel, they show HBCU football every weekend during the regular season. So I mean, of course, because HBCU Go, of course, is part of the Griot network. Of course, it's owned by Byron Allen. It all works. The options are there. Take advantage of them. Yes, it would be nice to be on national television, but the way things are going nowadays, there's so much that diverts from what television used to be. Like the streaming service game is just out of control now. And if you can, there's a chance if there's a TV show or a program or a documentary that you haven't seen in forever, I'll give it a 75% chance that you can find it on a stream service somewhere. That's just how the game is working now. So if you want to see your schools playing football on Saturdays and you don't want to sign up for ESPN Plus or worry about, the game being preempted because because they decided to show the Detroit Pistons bad boy 30 for 30. That's my favorite in the series, by the way, just as a point of reference. But if you want your schools to be seen, you got to put them in the hands of people that want them to be seen. And that's what Urban Edge is doing. That's what the Byron Allen Media Group is doing. And we would be very wise to hop on board with that, because we don't know if this ESPN thing is going to last forever. It just doesn't make sense for it to last forever, because, I mean, we see the way the country is going now with this rise of fascism and Nazism and just overall white supremacy. Like, they don't want Black people around. And if you think that's not going to seep over into media and sports, you are sadly mistaken. We got to get ready for this, man. I mean, y'all probably don't want to hear it. Y'all didn't come to HBCU Sports to hear me get political, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is the truth. I mean, y'all can look around and see it. I'm just going to tell you. But Urban Edge, we really should be paying attention, because they're making power moves. I mean, we already knew that Byron Allen was making power moves. It wouldn't surprise me now that this rumor that BET is for sale again, that he buys BET. And that might get you folks who keep begging for Black college football to be back on BET one step closer to your pipe dream. It's possible. I mean, I mean, our good God bless Charlie Neal. He's still with us. Let's have Charlie Neal come back and do the games. I mean, if Byron Allen buys BET, who knows? But all kidding aside, we should really be throwing our support behind Urban Edge and Byron Allen Media Group because they have HBCU Plus, they have HBCU Go, they have these great ways to catch the games, and that you don't have to rely on a network that could plausibly snatch that access from you just because they want to. Very important to support your own, and very much a fan of what Urban Edge is doing. Very much a fan of what group is doing because sports awards. Oh wow, I went out of stream. All right, let's try that again. So speaking of for us by us, 3 weeks from Saturday, July 27th, the HBCU Sports Awards, the inaugural. Please, people, stop saying first annual. There's no such thing as first annual. It is inaugural. The inaugural HBCU Sports Awards will take place live on this particular YouTube channel. We have 46 categories, so there's a good chance that an athlete or an administrator from your school will get an award. And yes, a physical award. We are actually getting awards made and going to send them out to the winners. So in order to do that, we need money. And in order to do that, in order to get money, we're asking for your donations. This will probably be the only time because once this thing takes off, it's absolutely it's gonna pop. It's gonna blow. I have no doubt in my mind. There is faith that we are doing something special because there's never been an HBCU Sports Awards show before. There's been an HBCU Awards before. Shouts out to my guy Jared Carter, formerly of the HBCU Digest. But we're the first to do an HBCU Sports Awards show. So if you want to support this and have it go along into the future and outlast all of us, go to HBCUSportsAwards.com. There are several ways that you can donate. There will be a Venmo link. There will be a Cash App link. There will be a donation tier that you can put whatever amount of money you want to put in. It don't matter. It can be $2. It can be $20. If you want to be bold in 2000, even better. But yes, the HBCU Sports Awards, Saturday, July 27th. Details on the actual time of stream are forthcoming, but we're just about finished with the award nominations. We'll let you guys know about those very shortly. And as far as the award show goes, there will also be a what's the word I'm looking for here? Exclusive access to a post-award show. We're not going to have any fights like the Migos versus DJ Academics that one year at the BET Awards. It's going to be a good time. We're going to come through. You may have a chance to talk to some winners. You probably have a chance to talk to a few special guests as well. So if you donate, you get immediate access to that, to the behind the scenes stuff, which I think is pretty cool. We're very excited to bring this to you in case you haven't noticed by the tone of my voice and my animation. But yes, the HBCU Sports Awards, Saturday, July 27th, HBCUSportsAwards.com. Go there and make a donation today. All right. Now, closing out this particular show, I wanted to talk about something near and dear to my heart that I reported on last week, late last month, actually. Well, last month was last week, so yeah, it works. So if you guys missed it, the state of Delaware capital projects budget is being finalized for fiscal year 2025. And in that contained a small little note near the end, because of course it's always near the end when this comes to Delaware State. We're always a second thought here. But it was an illuminating note. Delaware State Convocation Center. What that means is the note states that the Capital Budget Committee agreed that with the Delaware State Convocation Center feasibility study that such a project is necessary for DSU as well as Central Delaware. If you're not familiar with the state of Delaware, Delaware State is right smack dab in the middle in our capital city of Dover. And pending fiscal approval, because there's still a lot to parcel out, that there will be the Capital Projects Committee will help DSU look for funding as well as partnering with health services here in the state of Delaware to put a wellness center inside of this convocation center. Now, I'm not a person. I mean, this is not me speaking, in this conspiracy theorist terms. I'm just connecting the dots. One of the newest members of the Delaware State University Board of Trustees is the CEO of Christiana Care, which is the largest health system in Delaware and one of the largest health systems on the East Coast. Where there's smoke, good people, there's possibly fire. And that's an exciting development. Because if Delaware State gets a convocation center, which of course would also double as a sports arena, that would mean that a long awaited replacement, a long overdue replacement for Memorial Hall could be a few short years away. I mean, there's still a lot of dominoes that have to fall, but at least the possibility exists. And it's important to note, because as the former Delaware State student, if you guys need a quick rundown of my resume, I graduated from DSU in 2007. I was the sports editor of the Hornet student newspaper from 2002 to 2006. So I saw a little bit of everything in my time on campus athletically. And I love Memorial Hall. I saw some great times there in basketball and in volleyball too. But it is the 16th smallest arena, if you want to call it that, in Division I. Like, there are, 300-400 Division I basketball programs, and you're in the lower 16th. Like, there's literally 350, possibly 400 buildings ahead of you. That's not going to get many recruits. And as I cover high school basketball in the state of Delaware as a side project, by the way. And I've talked to parents, and they said, Delaware State seems like a nice place, but everything's out of date. And I can't disagree, because Memorial Hall was a converted barn. The gymnasium Memorial Hall is an entire structure, if you're not familiar. There's a pool in it. I mean, there's been some upgrades. I mean, if you've been to DSU in the last 10, 15 years, you've seen that the outside of Memorial Hall looks totally different than it did in the early 2000s. But Memorial Hall Gymnasium, as Delaware State has played in since 1982, was a converted barn. Yes, they cleared out a barn, good people, put a basketball floor down, put down some bleachers, some temporary bleachers, and those bleachers eventually became not so temporary. And the actual capacity has fluctuated over the years. It's been 3,000. It's been reported as 2,500. The most recent count, 1,800. 1,800 people. There are literally more than 7,500 students on campus now. Delaware State is the biggest it's ever been. Like, because there were literally 3,000 or 4,000 people when I was a student on campus. So to see it double, like when I went to homecoming last year, it was like, who are all these people? Who are all these kids? And why do they get to have a Chick-fil-A within their dining hall? We didn't have that. We had to play chicken with Route 13 to get to the Chick-fil-A at the Dover Mall. Back when I was a student, this was before I had a car. But I was just like, man, these kids benefit so much from us now. I mean, we should be proud, and we are, but I'm just still mad about that. Like, yo, we really had to almost risk getting hit by buses and trucks to get to Chick-fil-A. Now these kids just get to walk across campus. Spoiled! I'm playing. But yes, Memorial Hall, absolutely overdue. And like I said, there's more kids on campus now than ever before. And then, of course, there are people in the community who want to see Delaware State basketball, because Stan Waterman has done a great in rebuilding that men's basketball program. And Jasmine Turner and Sherelle Dennis are going to do the same thing for the women's program. Watch and see. But it's going to be hard to get recruits when you walk these recruits in and you're walking them into a converted barn. Same thing for Delaware State's Alumni Stadium, which has remained unchanged mostly since 1957. I guess the only change has been the turf and the grandstands on the north side of the field. But I will say this. The heart is there for the change, because I sat in a meeting in January virtually where they announced that they had raised $10 million for athletic upgrades. And Stephen Ewing, who was a very well-off Delaware State alum, who is part of the sports, he is the chair of the Sports Transformation Committee, by the way. He said in one of his opening statements, anybody can come in my house and tell me it's dirty, but are you going to get a mop and a bucket to help me clean it up? And that literally chilled my sugar honey iced tea about my criticism, because I've been critical of Delaware State athletics because I've seen how good it can be, and I think how better it can be. And that literally just said to me, okay, if I'm going to listen to the OG on this one, if he says, help us get this thing together. If you're not helping, then you really can't say much. I got to agree with him. So, I do have to say, Delaware State athletics is getting better and better. I mean, hopefully the football team comes around, but all of our other sports are, competitive for the most part, but they still need to get better, and they need to do that. You got to get better recruits, and to get better recruits, you have to have tangible things. Parents want to see jumbotrons. They want to see state-of-the-art locker rooms. They want to have their kids have access to tablets that they can look at game film on and all of that good stuff. So the Delaware State Convocation Center, while it's still very much in the conception stage, at least the people that love each other and want to make this baby are taking steps towards the conception. That's about as clean as I can give you guys on a Friday. Give you guys a PG-13 edition of what I would say if this was my personal podcast, but it's not. Since it's HBCU Sports Business, I'm just going to keep it rather professional. But yes, hopefully this comes through. I really want it to, because there would be nothing better than to be covering Delaware State basketball for this organization, to drive down to my alma mater and say, yo, we've come a long way, bro. That would be fun. That would be so much fun. And I hope it happens. But again, still a lot of dominoes to fall, still a lot of ducks to get in a row, still a lot of I's to dot, a lot of T's to cross, but it's there. The potential is there. Now we have to see how far the potential goes. And that's what I wanted to discuss with you guys, because again, we are going to get real serious about just giving you guys content on a consistent basis, because yes, we do live shows once a week and we have fun doing those. We got to give you guys something that happens more than once a week. So I volunteered to lead it off, and I'm glad to do so. So thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the HBCU Sports Podcast. Once again, I am Chris Stevens. You can find us at HBCU Sports on all forms of social media, and as Kendrick, I almost called him Kendrick Lamar. We have our own Kendrick. His name is Kendrick Marshall, and as he likes to joke, Ken Rashad is very active on TikTok. So follow us on TikTok as well. You'll probably see a clip from this on TikTok on HBCU Sports. And again, the HBCU Sports Awards, Saturday, July 27th. If you want to drop a donation, HBCUSportsAwards.com. That's all one word. And so thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend and your summer. And until the next time we see each other on this particular platform, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.